Welcome back to another episode of The Ordinary Experience. Today I have with me a school friend who is now founder of Cocoon Visual Arts. I got the name right. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, man?
I'm well. I think first and foremost, how's the business?
Business is going good, man. Obviously, as I was telling you before, obviously I'm in the middle of writing or sorting out the podcast. Still editing the interviews that I'm doing for the My Journey thing, which obviously we can get into later. And yeah, just it's smooth sailing. It's obviously typically you would want it to go a lot faster, but it's still progressing. But yeah, business is going good, man.
That's good to hear. You know, it's nice to hear that, especially during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I think COVID has, for some people, COVID has set them back. But for me, I think it's given me time to time to get things in order. It's also kind of pushed me to think of new ways to get things going. And it's obviously with that time as well, it's allowed me to plan for things when COVID is lifted. You know, for example, like with the interviews I'm doing now, I'm interviewing people on their creative journeys, but I'm doing that via Zoom. So hopefully in the future, when COVID is lifted, I can kind of dive into those journeys and do like a day in the life of so and so, just to kind of get like a real life.
I like
so
that.
I mean, that's time.
You've had time to think. All right, today,
so yeah,
I'd love to talk to you about Cocoon VA. Something that I found quite interesting when we had our kind of intro chat was mentorship as a young individual in business, because I've never had a mentor. I've never considered to have a mentor. Kind of the individuals that I've spent a lot of time around that are older than me have been my parents and my dad. So a lot of my learnings have stemmed from that. And yeah, just explore how Cocoon Visual Arts came into existence, if you're down with for that.
Yeah, no, of course. So where do you want me to start?
Let's start from the beginning. How did you lead up to thinking about this is a problem I can solve, I guess? Because Cocoon Visual Arts solves a problem.
Yeah, so essentially, obviously, when I got to university in first year, obviously I was just doing me. And then, you know, I noticed that I'd followed quite a lot of creatives on social media, so mostly photographers, if not all photographers. And obviously I started to admire like the editing styles that they had. I just learned to admire like the creativity behind what they was doing, and then decided like, oh, okay, like I want to try and pick up this as a hobby, and see what happens. And then obviously the day I got my camera, one of my boys was like, oh, yo, I'm going to this party. Do you want to come? Like, I'm going to this girl's party because it's her birthday. Do you want to come? And you can like take photos. I was like, yeah, send them more. Cool. Did that. Everyone was like, oh yeah, can you send me those? Send me this. Send me that. And I was like, oh. Then I set up a brand from it. I was like, oh, like I can make something out of this. So I set up a brand called Street Aesthetics, sending people the photos. Then then bit by bit, people started messaging me, like, oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Kept going to people's parties, just taking photos. And then now I'm thinking, all right, cool. Like maybe I can actually make this a thing, like a proper thing. And then that's obviously when it started to get a bit techie, because people would message you, be like, oh, I want to do this, and then they pull out, or they just weren't serious. And then it got to a point where when I was posting, one of my other friends was like, yo, like when you post, you need to like do the hashtags and stuff, because that's how you get like proper exposure. And so when all of that came into play, that's when it started playing on my mind a lot more, because it felt more like a chore than it did feel fun, because I was like, oh, like I have to do all of this, I have to do all of that. People are contacting you, then they're pulling out, and then it just got a bit long. But then I realized, and then I went to France for a year to study abroad, and then I stopped doing photography for that. I stopped doing photography because I didn't take my camera.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't take my camera. And then so I stopped doing photography for that year. And then I came back. No, do you know what? I've even skipped a step. Sorry. So when I went through my struggles, when I had those struggles of like people messaging me and stuff, then I came up with this idea, and I was like, what's the way where I can kind of make life easier for creatives? So at this point, obviously, I'm thinking about photographers. So I'm thinking, what's the way that I can make life easier for these photographers so that it feels effortless, less effortless, and stuff. And then obviously the idea of Cocoon came about. And then at this point, it was just a plan. Like I was just writing. Then I went to, then I kind of stopped because I didn't know how to go down it. I wasn't that, like, I didn't have like an entrepreneurial mind at that point. It was just more like an idea. I didn't know how to tackle it. So then I stopped, and I made that at the end of first year, that on the cusp of second year. Yeah, vocabulary there, cusp. But yeah, and then in second year I kind of stopped. Then I went on my year abroad and just didn't do photography because, like I said, I left my camera. And then one of the modules I took. Oh yeah, go on.
No, I was gonna ask, and maybe you can dive into this after. But did the year abroad change anything in regard to how you viewed the problem, how you viewed like this space that you had kind of entered into unknowingly?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I ended up, there was one module I took in the second half of my year abroad, so second semester, I guess, yeah. And it was a module on presentation. And the guy did, you could present whatever you wanted. So someone did a presentation on star signs, another person did a presentation on the color blue, and its history. So it's literally whatever you wanted. And I was thinking about what I could do, and then I was like, oh, okay, I can practice a presentation for Cocoon. And like I said, I hadn't really worked on Cocoon for a while. I just kind of stopped. And I was like, okay, like I can do that. And then when I did that, when I did the presentation, the teacher, he was like proper old fashioned, and I would like to say he was closed minded, because when someone was talking about star signs, he was like, oh, but then you think it's a whole load of codswallop and mumbo jumbo and all of that. And I was just like, that's how closed-minded he was. Like, I'm not saying like star signs are real and stuff, but I'm just saying like the way he went about it. And then so when I explained my idea, he was the only one that didn't get it. Like he was like, oh no, like no, which is fair enough.
So
obviously,
you explained Cocoon, the ideas, the concept.
Yeah, so I did my presentation. I like, essentially it was a pitch. And I did my presentation on that. He was like one of the only ones that didn't get it, but I didn't realize there was quite a few other creatives in the room. And they was like, yeah, like I have that problem as well. And so when that happened, I felt the presentation was a success. But when that happened, it hit me. I was like, oh, okay, this isn't like a problem just in the UK. This is like a global problem, because there was people from all around the world on this year abroad. So I was like I could really be tackling something here on a wider scale. And then when I got home, when I finished my year abroad, I set it up that summer. I set up the business officially that summer and just went to work. And then obviously I had my final year, so I focused on that and did like bits here and there. And then when my final year finished, that's when I got and started taking it, like doing it properly. Like that's my job, innit? And so that's how it started.
So what's the problem that Cocoon solves? Let's start with that question.
So Cocoon essentially makes it so it helps bridge the gap between creatives and clients, because a big problem that creatives have, it was mainly designed to help those who are kind of starting out their journey. It's designed for all creatives, but if you're someone who's already popular, you don't have the problem of connecting with clients, because it just happens to you.
Yeah.
But if you're someone starting out, like you really have to take it step by step. And so with Cocoon, basically what it solves is it just helps bridge the gap between creators and clients. If you put yourself on this platform, people will find you by location and price range, and you'll come up, because it's a platform solely designed for you, as opposed to, let's say you're looking for a photographer, you're gonna have to go on IG. There's no like, how are you gonna find me? How are you gonna find me how are you gonna find me on IG unless you know my name or you just stumble across me? So essentially that's what Cocoon solves. And then it also makes it more convenient when you're doing that negotiation. Everything's all in one platform, so the price range is there, their portfolio's there. You message on the app. It will have like a contract feature where everything's official, because if you're doing it over Instagram, nothing secures your payment in a way like you have that, like, you get what I mean? You have that whole
platform, right? You got to take it over to PayPal. You got to do cash in hand and stuff like that, right? Is that what you mean?
Well, no, but when I mean, like, if you do it over Instagram, there's no way, because Instagram is not an official platform for that purpose, if you get what I mean. So there's no way to kind of secure your payment. If you have to buy.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Like my mind.
Yes, if you were to buy, like,
my mind literally went to blockchain. Literally, it's like right now it's just there. Like, so how can you make sure that contract is executed by both parties? And I'm thinking, like, Instagram doesn't have that feature, because you just DM someone and then they can pull out at any point, right?
And that's what I'm saying. But if you're doing it over the app, it's like it's a professional setting. Like, this app is where, you know, that's your job. You know, that's the freelancer's job. So it's a proper professional setting. Whereas Instagram it's I'm not going to say Instagram's unprofessional, but in this situation, it's unprofessional because nothing is official. So it tackles that problem as well, and it just gives users a sense of security. You know, like, obviously the insurance, and like the insurance of, like, your product, your safety. You know, if you do it on Instagram, you're not safe. Whereas if you do it over the app, we are not monitoring you as if to say we're like the government or anything, but we know, okay, there's a job going on at this point. If you now make a complaint, you know, we can help you deal with that. It's, you know, safety, convenience, and an easier way to connect with other creatives and find a list of those people with ease, as opposed to searching for them on Google or Instagram. You know, you have them all in one place.
So how is it different to Fiverr or one of those other ones like that? Is it because it's going for the smaller creator? It's going after the smaller creator that doesn't have a massive brand, that doesn't have a massive following, and it's kind of like you're helping them grow and growing with them as the platform.
So I think with other platforms like Fiverr and stuff, firstly, I feel like what makes Cocoon different is that I want to actually engage with the creative community, and I actually want to,
rather than just sit and just be this entity that kind of facilitates.
Like, I don't want to just be that middle party where everything just like a transaction comes through and we're just there to make it secure. I actually want to get real with these creatives, and I actually want to help them. Like, I want to help them take it to that next step. I want to allow them to talk about issues they feel passionate about. I want to allow them to express how they feel. I want to actually give these creatives a voice.
Wow.
And I want to, and I want to take out, like, I want to be able to help take them to, So that's like the one ways I feel like Cocoon is separated from all those other freelance platforms, because I actually want to, you know, for example, if we host an event, I don't want to just hire like professional photographers and stuff to take pictures, or videographers to capture the visuals. I want to also give an opportunity to some of these creatives who I feel deserve it, and give them a way to, like, they can come to this event and network. They can come to this event and build their portfolio in a professional setting, and this can give them more opportunities. So that's like one way. And then another way is that I feel like something like Fiverr, they have like 250 plus different freelance professions on their thing. So it's quite wide range, whereas I feel like Cocoon tackles a specific niche. And with Cocoon as well, if you really wanted to, you could use all of those creatives to make one big project, because they can all combine to make one big project. So an example would be a fashion show, which is what I would like to do, to exhibit how these creatives can come together to collaborate and make one big project.
So you're going. So the way that it sounds like you're explaining it is, you can have the single creator. So if you need a video edited, like, so for me, instance, as a podcaster, I want someone to scroll through my video, you know, timestamp the pieces where, you know, we've had the relevant conversations, do all the social media behind it, and then send that to me, i.e., get the hashtags and whatnot. So you're saying that Cocoon can facilitate that, but it can also facilitate if I was to go and do a live podcast, for instance, with an audience. I could have 4 cameramen. I could have someone on audio. I could have someone doing photos. And then I could have someone to edit and facilitate that whole production, so to speak.
With the video editing part, it wasn't really something I'd thought of implementing, because I was thinking more in the physical sense, like where they're actually there. Whereas the video editing is quite remote. Right. It might be something that comes at a later point, but it wasn't something I'd really considered. It was more a case of people actually being there. So if you wanted to do like an interview, as you were saying, where you had like 4 cameramen, you could get that through Cocoon, and they could come and do that project for you.
Right.
And then obviously, because they're actually taking the videos, they would then edit that, obviously. But in a sense where you just talk to someone just to get them to edit, that wasn't really something I'd considered implementing in the app just yet. Maybe later on down the line.
But it's focused on physical, like physical creators.
Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah.
And that's the niche.
And digital artists as well, because it's a form of artistic. It's a form of art. So I felt like it was only right to include digital artists as well.
Why Cocoon as the
name? I chose the name Cocoon. I can't remember how I came up with it. I remember like why I came up with it. I can't remember like the scene, but essentially like I chose Cocoon because obviously when you're a caterpillar, that's you starting your journey, and then Cocoon being the app, that is your cocoon. The idea is that once you start to use the app and use it to its full potential, that's when you can reach your full potential and become your butterfly, which is like the end, not the end of your journey, but that's when you reach your peak, your prime. Do you get what I mean? So that's what the idea Cocoon came about.
I like it.
But I can't remember how. I can't remember how how that happened.
We've been friends a while. I just can't imagine you looking at a caterpillar and thinking, "Yeah, I'm gonna name it Cocoon."
Yeah, I know. Like a lot of people, I know. Like I would be surprising a lot of people right now, just in terms of like the way I look at life. But yeah, that's just how it. I didn't see a caterpillar and I was like, yo, but I know that much. But yeah, that's just how the name came about. And I remember like when I tell people, they're like, oh, like that's cool.
No, because it is. It's great because there's like a story. There's a story behind it, and behind the name of the brand, and that it's part of a process. It's like we're not here to. I'm not saying Fiverr does, but we're not here to just be a participant in the transaction. We're here to grow with you. We're here to facilitate. We're here to solve real world problems. And I've tried to apply to Fiverr. It takes forever, and also like for me it took forever, but I'm sure it doesn't for other people. But it's like it's just an entity. Like
I hate Fiverr, man. I hate Fiverr. Like I've used it a couple of times. I've used it like 5 times, and I just feel like they don't. I just feel like their verification of the users, of like the freelancers on their thing is low. Like they don't. I don't feel like they take the time to really look at who they have on their platform, and so I feel like anyone can get on, and that shows in the work that I've received back. So yeah, that's like another thing that I wanted to change. Like I want to have like a screening process when you come onto the app, because I don't want just anyone to come, because because by me doing that, I'm bringing the credibility of their platform down. So yeah, and obviously yeah.
Is there the platform, is it live?
No. So it's still in development. Yeah, it's still in development phase. I don't know when it will be released. Ideally, I would like it 2022, but
does that frustrate you? The fact that you've got to work on it for like, how long have you been working? It's like 4 years now, 5 years. It will be, if you're going for a 2022 release date, launch date. Sorry.
From when I officially set up, Are you talking about when I officially set up, when I first came up with
the idea? Set up, like, because that's really when the grunt work starts, right?
I think in like June, that might have been like my second. That would be like my second year. That would be reaching year 2. So by 2022 June, that would be 3 years.
3 years. Does it frustrate you, the fact that you can't get it out like now?
At first, yes, but I think that was immaturity and inexperience speaking there, because and this is where the mentors come in, because when you first come up with something, obviously I was young, obviously I'm still young, but I was a lot younger then, and like I said, inexperienced in how things work. So then I'm still eager now, but I'm more wiser about it. Whereas back then I would have just been eager, like, give me the money, I'll go do this, this, and this, and it will work like this. When in truth, it doesn't work like that at all. You know, if you gave me that money then, yes, I would have spent it on the development and stuff, but I would have spent it all wrong, you know. Whereas now, I have like a proper plan in place. I'm more familiar with how things work, and I'm more financially aware as well. So the money would be spent a lot better now. But if you gave it to me then, jeez, I don't know. But I was like proper eager back then, to just like get it out of the way. Like, come on. And in truth, I was nowhere near ready. But like with this time, like I said, it's giving me time to look at how to make the brand something better from a different perspective. You know, at the time I was thinking the app, and I still had the idea of wanting to help people on a like more personal level, but it was just the app. But now I've thought, okay, realistically, if you take away the app, what is Cocoon? And then I thought, nothing. So I thought, how can I change that? And that's where I've now come up with the interviews, the podcast idea, because like I said, I want it to be more than just an app. I want it to be a platform where creatives can talk about opinions that they feel passionate about, or
it's almost like
let them tell them. Yeah. Like if something goes wrong with the app, I have the other side, the content side of things, and just a hub for creatives to just talk, man. Like, it's not every day you have to be famous to share your journey. You know, sometimes other people's journeys are just as interesting. They're just not as popular. You know, they might not be Jay-Z or Drake, but you know, they've still got a story to tell, which can offer as an inspiration to someone else. You know, they might have had certain struggles that someone else is having, but they've been able to tackle it, and that other person just needed to know. Sometimes all it takes is to know that you can do it for you to be able to do it, and to actually see someone do it, therefore you can do it. So yeah,
you're preaching to the damn choir, man. Like, I love it. I love it when I meet someone. I say meet. I haven't seen you in years, and we just reconnected. But like, when someone's on your wavelength, and it's like you're both striving for the same goal, you're just doing it different ways. You're doing it via Cocoon. I'm doing it via the podcast and the YouTube. It's great, and it's like there's a vibe there that is just so totally unexplainable. And that kind of draws me to the point. There's 2 avenues that I want to go down. There's the mentorship that you mentioned, but also the mindset aspect. Let's start with the mentors. But like, as a young 21, 22-year-old, how do you even think or go about having a mentor? And what does that mean to you? Like, what does a mentor mean to you right now? Let's start with that question.
A mentor, I don't know how to answer it specifically like that, but just I feel like a mentor is very important to have, just because it's a different outlook on life. It's someone who can, provide you views from their experience, and can just give you guidance. You know, like sometimes you're struggling, and they'll just have they would have possibly experienced that to then tell you how to go about doing that, or their opinion is key. So for me, obviously, I have 2 mentors. One who's on the he's obviously a lot more. He's a lot more experienced. He's done it all. and still going and trying to do new things as well. But he's been to the top, and he's done it all. And then I have another one who is closer to my age. He's my brother's age, but he's still somewhat in his startup phase.
Right.
But he's like secured different investments, different deals. So I can see, so from with those two mentors, they're literally on different sides. There's one person who's done it all from that, and so he's, like I said, he's been through it all, and then there's another person who's at the start. So I get to experience things from both sides, you know. Like his side is very still relevant, and he like when he does something, he'll like pass on that information to me and be like, yeah, I went about it like this, and I did it like this, and that's how I got this. You should go do this, and that's how I then, you know, implement that into my ideas.
So it's almost like he's clearing, and then obviously for you in terms of experiences had, and then you can take those learnings and be like, oh, this is what I've got to watch out for.
Yeah, and then obviously there's this side,
the other end of the spectrum,
where he knows the ball, like he knows all the BS and stuff. Like he'd be like he's proper ruthless sometimes. If he doesn't know you, like he can be proper ruthless. Right.
What made them believe in you, and, you know, allow you to be a mentee?
Well, obviously with the younger one, obviously he was my brother's friend. So I've known him from I was like, I don't know, let's say like 10 years old. And then when he was doing his app idea, so his app is Set Play, which is a platform for like organizing like sports tournaments and stuff. And he's now going into like an esports side as well.
Oh, nice.
But he's obviously, you know, hearing his side, hearing how he's gone about doing his app, it's kind of had an influence on me to feel comfortable about tackling my idea. And then it just started off with me asking questions here and there, and then it was like and him answering them, and then now it becomes a constant thing. And then like that's how the relationship develops. Same way with the other guy. Obviously, like I said, he like proper experience and stuff. So obviously, and because he's like a close family friend, I'm obviously naturally throughout my pursuit, I'm gonna ask him questions, and then it comes with him answering them. Then it's a back and forth, and then that's how the relationship develops. And that's why I think when it comes to mentorship, like I wasn't seeking mentorship at that point. I never said any. I never used the word mentor. I never said anything. It was just a case of me asking questions, them answering, and then the relationship develops. And that's why I think with mentorship, you should never go out seeking mentorship. You should just let it happen, because it's not genuine. Like if you go up to, oh, can you be my mentor? It's just like anybody can ask that. But when they book, like if they say, yeah, I'll be your mentor, you might not have that relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like that might not click. And so therefore, are they really your mentor, or have you just given it a title, but you guys don't talk at all? Because I was like, there's a lot of people I've spoken to in this journey who have knowledge, but we haven't, not saying we don't get along or anything, but we haven't built that relationship to a point where it's like, okay, cool, you're my mentor. Apart from those two people, like I said, it's constant contact.
So actually, it's more than being a mentor or this word that we use. It's actually a really strong relationship that you guys have, and that's developed over like a period of time.
Yeah, like mentorship, I feel like people throw the word around too easily. Like, oh yeah, you know, will you be my mentor? Like I remember I went to this thing in one summit. It was like a 3-day program, like a leadership program. And I see people walk up to these speakers who come in and be like, oh, can you be my mentor? Can you be my mentor? And I'm just thinking, at the time, I'll be honest, it took experience for me to realize how mentorship works. But even still at the time, I never really looked at it like you can just walk up to someone and say, can you be my mentor? Because it just doesn't work like that. It's more than just a word, you know. It's like it's a proper relationship. And yeah, it's definitely important to have. I feel like everyone should have mentors, whether it's no matter what your journey is, you know. If it's fitness, you should still have a mentor. If you're a teacher, still have a mentor. Like no matter what, I feel like everyone should have a mentor in some form. However, I don't feel like me saying you should have one doesn't mean you should now go and actively seek one, you know.
They kind of flow
I
into
feel
your
like you should
life,
just
is what
let.
you're saying.
Yeah, because then it's forced. Then you start thinking, all right, how do I need to do this to keep this mentorship going? And then like it's not natural. It needs to be natural for and just like I'm not saying you have to have it at 23. Obviously, you're saying you don't have any mentors apart from your parents
I mean, for
who
me,
give
like,
you advice.
mentorship has never been something. We had a conversation before I went to India, and I called you up, and I remember where I was. I was in a Costa in London, and it was completely out the blue. And I go, Dom, I'm thinking about
Yeah.
starting this out. I saw a post or something about funding on your LinkedIn, and I was like, have you got any advice? And
Oh yeah.
you were like, I remember you said something about mentors then, but you were like, yeah, look at it this way, and you gave me some advice, and like we hadn't spoken since then. But like the concept of mentorship for me was, I had one of my uncles basically incentivized me to go on this journey of building an app, which was to help children, people in education. Sorry, let me give you the spiel. It was to help people in education make better decisions on their education, so that they didn't end up in the same position I was, where I was feeling bad about the subjects I'd taken at university, the A levels I'd taken that weren't really me and who I truly was. So he became my mentor alongside my mom and my dad during that process. But up until that point, like, I'd never had any mentors, so the word was new to me and what it meant to me. But I feel the same way as you. At the end of the day, I can't go up to Joe Blogs on the street and be like, can you be my mentor? I can't go up to, let's say, who's a guy in business that's on social media. I can't go up to Gary Vee, for instance, and say, can you be my mentor? Dude, one is going to be like, probably, why? He's going to ask you the question, why? And secondly, it's like, you don't even know the dude. You think you know the guy.
He doesn't know you. He doesn't know you. So you can't just be like, yeah.
And so for me, it's definitely a relationship. Like right now, if I, like, in terms of who would I ask about starting a company in a digital space, I'd ask you. And so for me, it would be like your source of information would be like, Dom, I've got some idea about this. This is this is what I'm thinking about. Have you got any advice? And develop that relationship first before you start labeling it. If I wanted to do something in fashion, I go and ask one of my other friends. Tenny, for example, I've met a new guy on Clubhouse. He's a good friend now for us. Like, he's in fashion as well. So I'd ask him. But yeah, I definitely agree with the fact that you've got to develop that relationship, and the mentorship comes over a period of time. And mentors change.
It's
right?
not. It shouldn't be that. You shouldn't be like, like I said, you shouldn't be actively seeking it, because then it is forced. It's not natural. It should come because, like, you have to build that relationship. You know, that person doesn't know you at the beginning. They know nothing. They don't know about your drive. That person could be proper driven and passionate. You might be passionate but not driven, if you get what I mean. And so therefore, like, that could cause a disruption, and therefore that relationship doesn't work. So like, the mentorship comes over time. It's not something, I don't think it's something at the beginning. But then again, that's my opinion. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. It could work for other people. I just don't personally feel like that's how you should go about it.
There was a point in time when I was like, over this period, was like, why do I need a mentor? Has that ever come up for you? Like, the idea of you're a mentor, or is that because you've always seen it as a relationship, not the word mentor?
Well, I can't say I've always seen it as that. Obviously, at the beginning, I don't really know how. I didn't really know how I would have looked at it, but I've never thought to myself, like, why do I need a mentor? I've just, because I just knew from day one. I just knew mentors were important, especially being a mentor myself. However, I was a mentor in a different sense, but which I can get onto afterwards. But being a mentor myself, I know the benefits of it, and now, like, experiencing it, having a mentor, it gives you different outlooks on life, and having two different mentors, or more than one, so I say, gives you multiple views on life. Like I said, I can see it from different ends. You know, there's someone who's done it all, and there's someone who's at the beginning of their journey, but is going for a very successful journey. And so I can see that from from the outset. And so whenever he does something successful, I feel successful in a way. Like his success makes me feel successful in a way, because it's like, oh, sick. And I know full well he's going to now pass that information on to me to allow me to now go and try and do something similar and go get that deal or do this, you know. So I've never really questioned, why do I need a mentor? I've just always known that like mentorship is important, because it's important to have different outlooks on life.
That's a perception I don't think people realize. Definitely a younger version of me wouldn't have looked at it like that. It would have been like, why do I need someone to tell me what to do? Like, why couldn't I make my own mistakes? Or yeah, it'd probably be a weird relationship to begin with. But you said something quite interesting, like you were a mentor yourself. Can you expand on that for me?
Yes, obviously, as you know, as you said, yeah, as you know, as you said, like I was a different person when I was younger. Obviously, in year 7, like I was a troublesome kid.
All right, now let's break that down, G. You weren't just a troublesome kid. You were the troublesome kid, and that's not taking. That's not me slating you. Like, I don't think people understood you and the energy you brought to the table. Because actually, when you got one-on-one with Dom, you were a calm guy. Like there was a lot of things going on in your head.
I feel like as a kid, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I was just active. I was active. You know, like when like in year 7, I got suspended. I got suspended once in year 7. I think I might have got an inclusion. No, I was suspended in year 7, sent out bare times. Then in year 8, I was suspended and I had an inclusion with Ziggy, like a internal exclusion with Ziggy. I can't remember what that one was for, but even that was jokes. And then I got suspended again in sixth form, but that wasn't for being troublesome. That was just for something else. I can't get into that, but yeah, like I was proper problematic. And then in year 9, like even to a point where, do you remember Mr. what's his name? Mr. King?
Yep, he's still there, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's because he's traveled up the ranks. I remember because he was head of year 7, and then from time when I got all the way to sixth form, we like proper powered through. But yeah, in year 8, at the end of year 8, he actually asked me to leave the school. I don't think he had enough to expel me, but he'd actually asked me to leave the school. He was like, "Go home, tell your mum you want to leave the school because it's just not working." Obviously, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, and then in year 9, I was still I still got sent out, but I didn't do enough. Like I wasn't like getting properly in trouble. And then year 10 comes. I've turned the leaf. Like I didn't get sent out in year 10 at all. I might have been sent out once, I don't know. But yeah, year 10 comes, I'm like, I've calmed down now, taken a different approach on life. And it wasn't like something I'd thought about. It just happened. And then, but I'd still do stupid stuff here and there. But I think I just learned the game. You know, I knew how to talk to teachers, because I was still a cheeky individual, but I was cheeky in a way where it's like, you're so cheeky, I don't actually want to tell you off. Like I got to a point where I was getting away with,
you got good at playing the game.
I was getting away with murder. Yeah, like it was literally, I learned the game. I got good at, like I got away with murder at times. Anyone like, especially in sixth form, ask like Clive or something, he'll be like, yeah, like madness. And then I remember now it's time where people are getting nominated for prefect, and I was on the short list. And I remember when Miss K read it out, I was like, what? Like, I think everyone was shocked. Everyone was like, what? And then I remember she pulled me into her office, a PE office, like for a private chat. And this wasn't normal. And she was like, look, the chances of you getting, like, you're probably very low on the list. So you're going to have to take this interview like properly seriously. You're going to have to like ace it. And I was like, yeah. At the time, I didn't really know what to think of her pulling me aside for that conversation, because I was just like, right, she's basically telling me I'm not going to get it. And then I remember you'd had your interview, and I was like, oh, like what kind of questions did they ask?
Was this for,
it was
sixth form prefect, yeah? Or was this for year 11?
No. This was for year 11. It was obvious you was going to get the prefect. Boy, you got head boy in sixth form, innit? But it was obvious you was going to get prefect. So I asked you, I was like, what kind of questions did they ask? And then obviously you told me. So then I prepared for those questions. And then I had, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how I would have answered those questions if you didn't tell me, because some of it, like, it was somewhat techie. And then I'd gone to.
I was always gonna tell anyone that asked. Like, there was never a piece of me that was not gonna be like, nah, I don't want you to get it. It was always gonna be like, let me help whoever's around.
And we know who the person is that wouldn't tell. We know who the person that wouldn't tell. But anyway, yeah. Then and I had Miss Hobbs who did the interview, and we didn't really have a relationship like that. But every time we spoke, it was like she never told me off or anything. Like, it was all calm. And then I had her for that interview, and then like it was calm interview. Like, I answered it. She said, she told me afterwards, like, very good. And then the assembly comes. And then they make the announcements, and obviously I hear my name called, and then obviously you walk up, collect your badge. I remember Mr. Codlin, he was telling me, he was like, obviously it was a joke, but I think it was a joke. He's like, when I heard your name, I almost ran down the aisle to say no, like to object. I was like, but when you give me like a position of power, like a position of responsibility, sorry, like that, it makes me step up in a way. Because now you put your trust in me, so obviously I have to, fulfill that. So giving me that role definitely helped me. But like I said, I was a proper bad kid. So now when you come to sixth form, because everyone in the school knows about my journey throughout that school life.
You were basically the poster child. You were basically like the poster child of reform, turning your life.
Because I got that award. Yeah, because I got that award in sixth form, the University of Bristol one for most inspired student, because of my journey. Yeah, as you said, like I was like the poster child. Like I had that journey. Like I was the story. And so I think it's Debbie, the one in SMT. Is that you call it? Social inclusion.
Debbie, yeah.
Yeah, she was like, oh, do you want to like? There's a kid who kind of reminds me of you, and he just needs like that sense of direction. Do you want to like? Do you mind mentoring him?
Can I pause
and
you
I was
right
like,
there?
yeah.
What was the first thought when she said that to you? Were you like, why are you asking me, or did you know why she was asking you?
No, I knew why she was asking me. I didn't think twice about it. I was like, yeah, like I liked, because I enjoy helping people. Like I feel like, especially if you need that sense of direction, like I enjoy giving people advice. I enjoy helping people, especially because I feel like in that situation I knew like I was experiencing that. So I was like, yeah, like, why not? I'm down. And then from that, I remember the first kid she gave me him when it was too late because he got kicked out.
Oh man.
So it's like I didn't even get a chance to really develop a relationship with him. And then she gave me someone else. He had a I think he might have been like dyslexic, and he was just prone to like proper prone to trouble. Like, and you know what annoyed me about him as well? Like, I was talking to him sometimes. I wasn't using big words, but I was speaking in a mature manner, and he wasn't actually understanding what I was saying because he literally didn't understand what I was saying. So I was speaking to him for like a week, 2 weeks now, and I was like, do you get what I mean? He was like, no. But he would always be nodding his head. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, oh, I don't know what that means. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. Like, I've been talking to you this whole time.
But did you, sorry, so you didn't realize that he didn't understand the words you were using?
Yeah, so I've been talking to him for like 2 weeks, and I was like, why'd you keep nodding then? Like, tell me, talk to me. But yeah, it's like, but because of him, I was mentoring him, I was allowed to like get out of lessons and like sit in his lessons sometimes and make sure he was doing his work and stuff like that.
I had no idea about this.
I think that, yeah, no, oh boy, that was me. I was doing that in like sixth form, second year. And yeah, I think there was like some steady progression in his work, but obviously I'd left now. And obviously like, I'm at uni now. come back and forth. But and then I was able to mentor another kid as well. He was quite not as troublesome as the other one, but he wasn't as bad. I think he just had like stuff on his mind. Like he was just going through a lot like at home and stuff. So I was able to like console him about that and whatnot. And I think he was doing all right, but it was given to me too late. So I didn't really get a chance to, properly go through it with these kids and do like a whole full on year. But then I think the sixth form asked me to like set up an actual mentorship scheme. But like I said, I wasn't there long enough for me to properly go through it, because I felt like the mentorship would have helped those who were mentors as well. Because it's like that position of responsibility can also make you a more responsible individual.
How did it change you as a person? Obviously, you're a mentee now, you were a mentor then. What did it give you anything being a mentor? Did it allow you to change your perception on life during that period of time? Or did it start a journey?
I reckon it gave me a different outlook on life. Like people actually need like your help, not my help specifically, but there are people out there that actually need your help. And so it gave me a different outlook on life, because I reckon that mentorship, me doing that, has definitely helped me become the person I am today, because it's let me know that, like I said, people actually need your help. Like there's no point if you have, like I said, I was experienced in being a bad kid, but being able to turn around. But what's the point in me having that knowledge if I'm not going to pass it on? Obviously, it's good for me.
Did you turn it around? But like what clicked?
I have no idea. I think
so. It wasn't a wake up one day and be like, yeah, this ain't for me.
No, I mean in year 8, my dad left, which obviously like a lot of people know, and then in year 9, I slowly started to turn it around. So I guess you could say it was that, but that would have been a subconscious thing. I never thought to myself like, he's gone now, let me do this. Like it just kind of happened. But that's more like there's a correlation more than anything, as opposed to it happened because of this.
Let's stay on the mindset topic. I get you. Let's stay on the mindset topic. The mindset, like taking that, I'm getting better, like I'm turning my life around. And obviously you start Cocoon VA. What's it like and what's the mindset of a entrepreneur, first-time founder?
What a question.
Because for me, like I really had to go into a mode where I was literally only consuming like Gary V, these type of people online, so that I could put myself in a position, with the stuff that I was consuming, where I was literally being around founders all the time. So my dad, when I was in India, I got in touch with a company that he was working with, and I got to meet their founder. I got to meet another one of his friends that also was co-founder or had been brought on in a new company. And so it was like I was surrounding myself with founders and trying to build that mindset into me, and talking to my dad, who's been a founder of a company that's failed and he shut it down, and my uncle, who is a founder of a company and it was going through a kind of a weird time during that period. It was like I constantly had those people around me that gave me the business sense of life and gave me those different perspectives on, actually try doing this, try doing that. Let's have a conversation around this. How's your mental health? That was one thing that was quite big. But yeah. What's your take?
Well, I think from young, I've always kind of been trying to do the next. Like I've been trying to make money. I'm not gonna lie and say like I'm proper driven X, Y, Z. But there's always like at some point in my life, I've always been trying to make money. So when I was at school, obviously at boarding school, people need food. So I would come home sometimes and I would go to like Macro. My mum would take me to Macro. I'd ask her to take me to Macro and I'd buy like bulk of sweets and stuff, and I would sell it at school.
Did you make a profit?
One of my biggest problems is that, yeah, of course. But one of my biggest problems is that I would eat a lot of it as well. So that would hinder the amount of profit I made. But that's what I'm saying when I'm like, obviously the difference between me then and me now is like, I'm not thinking as big. I'm thinking, yeah, cool, I can make money, but I'm not thinking, let me make as much money as I possibly can. So therefore, me eating half the product, like, that's hindering how much money I'm going to make. And then I'm also, is what I do with that money that I've made. So let's say I spent £30, I would make £60 in total. So that's a £30 profit. But because I've eaten half, you know, I could have actually made £120, and therefore a £90 profit. And then, like I said, what I would have done with the money afterwards, I would have like spent it. But me now, I would have reinvested it and just kept going. And I wish I had this mindset back then, because I don't like Viraj, I would be balling right now. Like I promise, because because even me being such a, like, I felt like I was a dominant character.
Oh yeah.
Like I would have got more money out of people, because it's like, all right, cool, you can pay me back, but you owe me this. And if you miss paying me that day, you now owe me this. And it worked. Proper. Like some people want me banging on your door sometimes. So yeah, but so, and then obviously I tried to start a clothing brand with Puka.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. So you've been an entrepreneur since like day dot.
Low key. And then obviously that flopped. And then when I got to uni, like I'm now more aware, because right now I would like to consider myself quite a self-aware individual. Even I was talking to this about Yasmin the other day. She was like, "Yeah, you're quite self-aware." And I was starting to think to myself, when I'm at uni, I'm like, oh, like what am I good at? What do I want to do? What am I bad at? And I'm bad at, like, I can't write to save my life. So like, if you ask me to write a cover letter, like I can't sell myself at all. If you ask me to write a cover letter, I promise, like, it won't bang. My CV, like I just can't do it. So when I'm applying for jobs, like, I'm trash. But then also I'm thinking to myself, like, can I really do these jobs? If you ask me, like, I'm not good at working for other people, because I feel like I know what's best. And so therefore, when you tell me to do something and I'm disagreeing, like, we end up clashing. And so I'll, it just won't work. And then also, like, I just don't like, I don't know, like I can't, like, even now, like, I can't picture myself working for someone else, because it's like, I'm working to make you money. Like, yeah, I'm making a salary, but I'm working to make you money.
That's a mindset that not a lot of people have from a young age.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do I really want to? And I have, like, there's a lot of things I want to do, but can I do that whilst working for someone else?
Nah.
No, because, like, I'm hindering my full potential. So I'm now thinking to myself, like, what is it I want to do? Like, I enjoy mentoring, so I was thinking, do I want to pursue that path? But then I'm like, where's the money in that? Yes, it's fun, something I enjoy, but where's the big money in that? And now I'm thinking, like, how can I? So that's how I now figure out how to incorporate it into my business, into Cocoon. So obviously with the interviews and stuff, like, I can talk, offer my advice, or I can use those interviews to help inspire others. And so, yeah, so I feel like for me, it took a lot of figuring out what I wanted to do, and then eventually figuring out how to incorporate into my business, Cocoon, because obviously the photography, I wanted to take that as a career path at some point, but I lost motivation in that because of the whole social media thing, and just wasn't feeling it. But I figured, but it was something I enjoyed, like that sector, creative world, I enjoyed, and mentoring was something I enjoyed, and I figured out a way to combine those two together to make Cocoon. And yeah, that I don't know if that answers your question.
It does in a way. It's like you've been an entrepreneur.
Because that's my mindset. Like, as an entrepreneur, I feel like that's my mindset. That's how my mind was working. It was like, I know I want to do my own thing. I like the creative world. I have an interest in that, and I can talk a bit about that. And I also enjoy mentorship because I like helping other people. How can I combine those? Like, but there's not much money in. There's not big money in either of those things if you're doing it on a small scale. So how can I bring those two together to, one, get money, a lot of money, two, like, do the things I'm actually passionate about. So with combining that, if it's not me offering you advice, these interviews I'm doing, they serve as a purpose to help inspire others. So I'm still tackling what I'm trying to do and get to talk about what I enjoy as well. So that's like kind of my mindset, or that's inside my mind. That's what's going on, and that's, you know, I've managed to make it work. No, I haven't got everything up and running. Yeah, like it's just I'm just passionate about it. Like, I like helping other people, so why not? You know.
You mentioned money. You mentioned money, and the topic of monetization, whether it's a business, whether it's, you know, a hobby, whether it's anything, money makes the world go round. And I've always had a weird relationship with monetization. Like, at the end of the day, what we both do as a business, the podcast will be monetized at some point, right? It's just part and parcel of the process. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'd like to get it to that point. Sure, if anyone can make a little bit of side income off something they enjoy doing, I still find it wild that we get to have a conversation and then about 50 people can listen to it. And then someone can pay for an ad space in that. That just blows my mind. But when you've been like talking about the business, Cocoon, the topic of monetization, did it ever like feel weird to you? Like, I don't actually want to monetize like this aspect. I want to keep this bit free. Because like for me, there was always a bit like, especially when I talk to my dad about it, and he's very much like, where's the income gonna come with the YouTube? And I'm like, Dad, it doesn't start to hit 1,000 subscribers, you know, 4,000 hours of watch time, and like, I can't do anything until that point. And he's like, okay, so monetize. I'm like, it's not the be all and end all monetization. Have you ever had that conversation with, you know, your mentors, with yourself, and being like, yeah, I need to wait till I monetize. I need to wait until I turn this into a profit generating business. What's that conversation like with yourself? What's that conversation like with your founders, with your mentors?
In terms of monetization, obviously with the app, you know, the app, it has to be monetized. So there wasn't really a question of monetization. It was just a case of how and what I should charge. Obviously, like I said, I feel like if you've seen the film Paid in Full, it's obviously, I'm not promoting drugs, but it's a film about drugs in like Harlem, and obviously the main character, Ace Boogie, like he was just someone that worked in a like a laundrette, but he was just thinking like, this isn't what I want to do. Like I'm making next to nothing. I don't feel good about myself every day. And then one day, someone, I think he found like drugs in one of the pockets of the laundrette thing. And the guy was like, why did you, and he returned it to the guy. And he was like, why did you return it? And he was like, why don't you keep it? He was like, I don't know. He was like, keep it, see what you, like, whatever you do with it, and come back and tell me what happened. And then he just ended up selling it, but he sold it at like a stupid low price. Still made a profit, but a stupid low price. And the guy was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna come to you every time. Can I meet you here again? He was like, yeah, same spot. And so his method of like charge low, take everyone else's customers was what kind of stuck with me. And so when it came to the monetization, I kind of felt to myself like, I want to kind of keep it low so that people feel comfortable coming to Cocoon, because we got good rates. You have to, and we get a lot of customers, and I feel like I'm the only person doing what I'm doing in this sector. So by the time anyone else jumps in, it's like you're gonna have to do a lot to take them away from me, because not only are we like a good platform, but we're also charging low rates. So it wasn't a question of it was just a question of how much, right, and how I monetize it. But with what you're saying with the podcast and stuff, I think you had a very good mindset, because that's a mindset that not a lot of people really take on. Like, as you say, your dad was always like monetize. But with something like this, he's, no disrespect to him, but he's thinking very small, because it's like, it doesn't happen now.
Agreed.
You might not ever monetize. You might not ever monetize this podcast. Obviously, that's a lie. But let's just say, let's just, for argument's sake, you might not ever monetize this podcast, but the exposure that you get, or the people that you meet, might allow you to go and make money some other way. And that was because of this podcast. And like with me doing my interviews, as I'm trying to raise investment, me having these interviews gives them a better outlook on what Cocoon is like, and it shows them that I'm trying to do something else as well. It shows that there's more to the brand than just the app. There's more to it. So I might not ever monetize the podcast or the My Journey interviews, but it's more than just trying to like thinking bigger. That me not monetizing this doesn't mean I won't make more money. It's just a different method of how to make the money, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like this conversation that we're having, and someone might see that, come to you with a potential business opportunity, or you might meet someone off the back of that, which allows you to go, well, and earn some cash in the future, or join together in the future, and then you start taking profits. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
For me, I was scared of the conversation. There was always a bit of that. The concept of monetization of like, how do I sell myself? What do I charge? Obviously, I don't charge anything. It's YouTube that ends up paying you, or the brand deals and the sponsorships. But it's a weird conversation because not a lot of people want to have the conversation around money. I'm quite open with it. I did a podcast with my dad, and he basically ran through how he was able to raise us all on a single income. Like, my mum's never worked. My mum has worked. My mum has never worked since. That's a lie. My mum has worked just small periods of time, but he's kind of been the main breadwinner. And it was like, how can we afford the things that we do? How can we afford the room that I'm sitting in, based off of your income? And so that's one of the things that he's always said is be transparent with it. Like, have these hard conversations about monetization. And it was always that, because there was a point in time when I was like, I don't want to have this conversation. It doesn't feel right. Because art, how can you put a price on it? How can I put a price on my blogs? How can I put a price on my YouTube videos? Like, I put in hours and hours worth of work. Like, I put in a week's worth of work, and you're going to pay me what, like 1 cent? I put in I remember my first article on Medium that got monetized. I earned like 30 cents. I was ecstatic, don't get me wrong, but I was a bit like, well, I plugged in like a 24 hours worth of work for this, and that's how much I get paid.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a conversation about, from a business mindset, how are we going to push this forward? Like, how are you going to scale this? And so that it was never really, when he says monetize, he said, with him, it's a bit like cloak and daggers sometimes. It's like he's saying something, but he means something else. It's like the one word that triggers me is clickbait. And I'm like, Dad, I don't want to be clickbait. I don't want to be like holding a pile of cash next to my headphones and be like, here's how I earn $1 million. But I understand the business point of view of, that's eye catching. I just need to find my way around it. And so it was always about, like, think about it in terms of how you're going to scale this. How does this become a business and you're able to live the life that you want to lead? And I've always found that a difficult but a really interesting conversation to have.
Yeah.
With regards to being an entrepreneur, being a founder, and on that note, I just want to ask you, what's it like? Like, what's the feeling like? Do you, because I say it to you and I feel something. I'm talking to a founder of something. Like, do you ever look back and think, yo, I'm actually doing something here. I'm actually doing something quite cool.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself in the sense where it's like I've found the courage to do what I want to do, and I'm willing to take that risk, because doing what you want to do, there is a risk that comes with it. That time you take out, like setting up your own business, is not something that you can do overnight. You have to take proper time to do it. And a lot of people, something that people say, which I don't like, one of my mentors said it, the older one, and it never really sits right with me, because I feel like it's just like he said, you're not a real entrepreneur until you failed.
Yeah.
And I get it, but I don't feel like you have to fail. Like, I feel like maybe he didn't mean it in the way that I took it. And I've learned kind of over time, like he said it to me, like early doors as well, like when I first set up Cocoon. Not even I don't even think I set it up at this point, but when I was first in that idea phase, and I've kind of I've been dissecting it to this day, but I don't feel like you have to fail in order to be a successful entrepreneur. But as I've dissected it, I've thought to myself, maybe it's not failed the whole business as a whole, but something hasn't gone according to plan, and you've now had to adapt. And then I thought about all the small businesses I did when I was younger. So, for example, the clothing.
So technically, you failed.
And then I thought to myself, okay, like it doesn't necessarily have to be something big, but it's like at the end of the day, I've failed. I've learned from it. For example, with the tuck shop thing that I was telling you about when I was selling food, hustling. Obviously, like I know that I was eating half the food I brought in, and therefore I only made a third of the profit I could have made. So for example, I sold it all for 60.
You failed to not make a big profit.
I failed in a sense where I didn't maximize the profit I was making because I was being greedy and I was thinking small. And two, what I did with the profits afterwards wasn't smart. And that's another thing as well, like financially. I want to talk about being financially smart.
Oh, let's do it.
But yeah, as an entrepreneur, I just feel like I feel good about myself. Like when people ask me, like, oh, what do you do? I feel empowered when I'm like, oh yeah, like I have my own company. And
bro, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but I fucking love it.
No.
I love what you're doing now. I love the way you've come from and who you are now and what you're doing. And like, sure, I'm a hype man, but I genuinely have so much respect for you coming from. I knew you in year 7, and I'll be curt. I did not like you. I did not like the energy you brought to the table. I genuinely thought you were gonna ruin my life at some points. I was like, wait till this guy gets around to me. Like, come on, like this is gonna be hell. But like seeing you grow and then not seeing you for like 4 or 5 years, and we had a conversation in I think it was like December, January time about the podcast.
Yeah, I think it was in lockdown.
Yeah, in lockdown. I genuinely have so much respect. You've got a fan right here.
No, I appreciate that.
But go on. Financial advice, entrepreneur.
Obviously, like going to what you're saying, I feel like I'm not a likable individual. I feel like you either like me or you don't.
You're a bit like Marmite.
And yeah, because that's how my mum used to describe me when I was a kid. But I just feel like in general, like either you like me or you don't. Like when I meet new people, because of how I am in the terms of I close myself off around certain new people, but unless we're on like the same wavelength, I guess. I don't know, but I'm not like a proper likable individual. Literally, you either like me or you don't. But yeah, what was I saying?
Entrepreneur.
What was
like the feeling?
Yeah, so I just like when I tell people like I run my own company, it feels good, even though I'm not properly up and running in terms of like financially. I am doing my own thing, so it does feel good in that sense. But I do feel like I have a responsibility in a way. I don't know how, but I feel like I'm supposed to be more responsible as an individual. Like I'm working on my own time. So now it's like you have to, and as someone that plays games a lot, I have to now figure out how to balance all of that. I have to wake up. I have to make sure I wake up at certain times because I'm working on my own time. I could wake up at 12, but is that healthy for me and the business and productivity wise? No, but who's going to tell me when I can and can't wake up? Nobody but me. So I have to be responsible in that sense. And it feels good. I'm not saying I'm not going to tell you I'm perfect, and I'm going to say I'm not going to tell you I wake up at 9 o'clock every day, but it feels good to know that I have to rely on myself. It's up to me, and I feel good about it at a young age as well. So there's that. But financially, it has made me.
Into this. Let's do this. Not financial advice, but financial experience that you've had. Let's do this.
Yeah, like it has made me smarter financially in terms of how I use my money, because like the entrepreneur in me is like, all right, cool. What's another way I can kind of make my money work for me? And that's mostly come from poor financial experiences, like at home. Like I've been like in a situation where I've had to struggle at home. Like I think for most of my university time, like it wasn't wasn't easy financially. But because of that bad experience, as soon as university finished, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to not having money. So now I kind of set myself a way that if it ever does come down to it, where I feel like I don't have money, I do actually have money, but I'm not using it until I get to that point. So, so for example, I now have a budget where I set money aside, where I know what my income is, I know what my outgoings are, and then I have the budget where I spend like on whatever. Like, so if, let's say me and you met up to have like a lunch or something, I'm using that that I set aside, and that's that. But by doing that, I've also made sure that I have money that stays in my account, and so whenever I'm spending money, I'm always still making money. If you get what I mean, like I'm never going down. If you get what I mean.
Okay, so you've always got your you got the incomings, you got the outgoings, you've got the budget, and I think it's the budget that's the most important thing. You set that rule, you set that restriction on yourself.
Yeah, so let's say for example, I have £1,000 that comes in a month. I spend 600 of it on everything else, including my budget, and I always make sure that 300 is left in my account, so that every month it's 300, now it's 600, now it's 900, and then obviously when I make more money, then we'll adjust those figures.
You're always making sure you got that buffer of savings.
Yeah, but bear in mind that £300 actually isn't my savings, because within that 600, I've also incorporated money for investment,
extra
savings. Yeah, so that's how I've learned to kind of figure that out. And then also, I'm now focusing on trying to build my credit, because you don't realize how important credit is until Well, a lot of people don't realize how important credit is until you actually come down to needing that credit. And I feel like that's where education fails us, because they don't tell us that. They never teach, even people who study finance. Like, I don't even think they're ever told, go get a credit card. And I feel like you should actually be told, you should actually be trying to sort out your credit from moment you get to university. And so they realistically should be telling us when we're actually in school. Like, whenever they bring in those speakers and do those like seminars in the pack, like that, one of those should have been something about finance, like, and how to build your credit, because it's important. You don't, like, having a high credit score allows you to get certain perks, and you won't realize it until you come down to it. So, like, you should start building on it as soon as you can.
I agree with that.
I feel like a lot of people don't realize it. Like, even one of my boys the other day, he works in, I'm not going to name, but he works in finance, and I was like, do you have a credit card? He was like, no. I was like, oh, swear down, I thought you would have had a credit card by now, considering like you work in finance. He was like, no, I just never really needed it. And I was like, that's the thing. You think you don't need it because everyone sees a credit card as, oh, I'm loaning money and I'm taking it out and I'm owing someone else. And it's like, no, you're actually proving that you can.
That's all it is. It's proof you can pay back.
Proving that you pay back. Yeah, you're proving that you can pay back, and therefore you're improving your credit score. And then like when we spoke again, he was like, oh, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a credit card. I'm going to buy an Apple Watch, and then I'm just going to pay it back straight away. And I was like, no, because if you pay it back straight away, then like it just won't process it like that. You have to wait till that you can. Yeah, you have to show that you can pay it back over. Not necessarily you don't have to pay it back over a period of time, but you have to show that you can pay back on deadline day, not buy it today, then pay it back tomorrow. You have to wait those 30 days when your credit bill is due, and then you pay it back. And it's like little understandings like that, but he didn't know that because he wasn't taught it.
One of the big things I didn't understand, completely. One of the big things I didn't understand was tax, and like how tax works. Because, you're taught on a superficial level tax, but when it comes down to you as a person, I took out a student loan, so I know that whatever happens for the next, like, in a traditional job, whatever happens for the next 30 years, 40 years before it gets wiped off, I know that I'm going to be paying that back automatically. But it's like, how can I minimize that? And this concept that I read, I think it was Rich Dad Poor Dad, was that people that are wealthy, they wrap themselves up in businesses, so that the business tax is less than the personal income tax. Now, that doesn't mean that you have more money to spend. What it means is that the business has more money. You can't take that out and go and, live a high life, like buy Lamborghinis or whatever, right? Go go partying up in London. That's not how that works. Like, you've got to change your relationship with money and realize that it's not evil. It's just part and parcel of life. And that, you know, you can minimize certain things. I think, what does my dad like to call it? Pops likes to call it tax planning. Not tax, which one's not illegal? There's tax evasion, there's tax avoidance. I think it's tax avoidance is legal. And tax evasion.
I think evasion is, I think one of them's unethical, one of them's illegal.
Right. He likes to call the unethical one tax planning. Because at the end of the day, that's all you're doing. You're planning for the tax season. You're planning for being taxed.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean go and find an offshore account and, you know, whack whatever in there. But there are things you can do to minimize your tax and actually make sure that you have savings, you have the buffer. You can then go and purchase a mortgage, purchase a house using a mortgage and things like that. The concept of the credit card, like you said, I don't have a credit card. My brother does. Part and parcel is because, like, I've never had a job. So the job I'm currently in is actually my first real job. Might be a fixed term contract, but it's my first real job. So the concept of a credit card for me has never come up. And I had to change my relationship with money when he got his, and I was like, ooh, what are you going to do with that? He was like, I'm just going to leave it for the time being. Like, I've got nothing to purchase at the moment, but I know that I think he does use it occasionally. But like, money's always been a good topic to talk about, and it's a shame it's not as open. And like you said, the education fails us. Tax, what is it? Tax, they fail us on. Financial advice, they fail us on.
Yeah.
But also this concept of like self-awareness. Like, sure, you're taught about religion and stuff, but like, they don't really talk about like what you're passionate about. Like, how do you find a passion? How do you develop a passion?
100%.
And I genuinely feel like that's something that we, you know, maybe we can work on in the future. Whether it's like I team up with you at Cocoon.
It's something I'm trying to work on, actually. Like, I'm trying to build something to, like I said, like as a mentor myself. I 100% agree with what you're saying about how they don't teach us to explore our passions. They just teach you how to wear a suit. Yeah. And I feel like it's wrong. They teach you,
and they make that look really nice. And I fell into that trap.
Yeah, like they teach it to you like that's how it's supposed to be. You know, like they tell you to go to university, then when you're done, wear a suit and work for someone else. They never tell you how to pursue your passions. And then even the worst part is, by rights, an apprenticeship is probably a quicker way to success than university, because you're just getting straight to the job. You know, like from young, they're teaching you like the core values of something, and they're actually teaching you how to develop this specific skill. Whereas when you go to uni, you're kind of developing an overall skill. Then you go on to get a job and develop a specific skill. Obviously, I would advise university just for experience in terms of like life experience.
I mean, right now is a different ball game. Pre-COVID, I definitely say if that's what you want.
Right, yeah.
But like my brother does an apprenticeship, and we were having, you know what's funny? We were having this conversation the other day, and he's like, we were talking about our age, and like I'm 23, he's 21 this year, I'm 24 this year, and he was like, I'm 20, but I feel like I'm a 25-year-old. I'm being paid
because
I've got a university education, and I'm actually doing the same work that he works for Unilever. So the Unilever, I think it's the grad program. He's doing similar work to what they do on the grad program. And he's like, I don't see why like they're ahead. Like, we're doing the same work. Like, why wouldn't I be a first choice for going on the grad scheme? And we were having a conversation with my dad about it. But it's interesting because people don't always they see apprenticeship as a step down, when actually it can actually put you a step, not forward, but a step in the right direction if that's what you need, that's what you want.
It's getting you on track, but university, I think, is good to figure out what you want to do. You know, you might not, like, by doing an apprenticeship, you kind of limit yourself to that. And then if you decide to pull out, you have the experience, but you don't necessarily have the degree and whatever. And then you're kind of thinking, all right, what can I do? Because university is good to stall, because you get the student loan, you get like 3-4 years. If you want to, you can take the placement. If you want, you can take it to study abroad. That study abroad helped me, give me time to think about what I wanted to do. But you get So I had 4 years to think about what I wanted to do. If I did the apprenticeship, I wouldn't have come up with Cocoon. I wouldn't have met the people I did who helped me, like inspired me to come up with Cocoon. And yeah, I just would have been stuck to this one thing unless I wanted to change, and then I would have probably felt more stuck and maybe panicked. So yeah, I feel like university is good when you want to stall. But yeah, back to what I was saying about how the schools don't teach us to tackle our passion. Obviously, with Cocoon, I want to set up like a foundation or a charity where essentially we would go into like schools and help like troubled kids. So like the kids I would have mentored, help those. Like a lot of people don't actually like school for that reason. Like Ziggy hated school. Rio hated school.
Yeah.
But it's like they had different passions. Like obviously Rio wants to tackle his music. That's not what the school's teaching him to do though. So therefore he doesn't enjoy school as much. But if I can go into these schools with Cocoon as a foundation or a charity and teach them a creative passion, i.e. photography, you know, that's something they might enjoy. And I can teach them that like, yo, you can actually make a lot of money off this. If you develop this skill, it helps you develop your social skills also. You know, you interact with people, you learn to network better.
You grow as a human.
You collaborate. 100%. Like you probably grow a lot quicker than most people because you're actually always interacting, and it opens your mind. And it's like it's a creative passion. It helps you tap into those creative abilities that you have that the schools aren't teaching you to utilize. And so that's obviously what I want to do later on. Obviously, I can't do that now, but at a later point, maybe like 3-4 years down the line, when there's more money pumping in and whatever, obviously then I can, because obviously disadvantaged kids as well, they might not necessarily have the money, and so Cocoon's foundation will be able to provide them with these tools, like a free camera, free lessons, But yeah, that's what I want to do later on.
That's amazing.
Bars, innit?
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Dude, this is... I didn't even see it going in that direction. Like this whole podcast, I thought it was going to be around, you know, we had a conversation at the start about the business, but actually it's gone a step further. We've actually, you know what? We've had a conversation that tackles some problems. And I think
100%.
before we end, there's a thing I like to do at the end that's spring on people. But what would you say to a first-time founder, for someone that wants to be an entrepreneur, someone that wants to start a business? What's the one piece of advice? Is there one piece of advice, or is it a conversation needs to be had?
You're a first-time founder. I'd say keep the hunger and obviously the drive to obviously want to get the money then and there, but take your time. If it's not coming, because I'm not gonna lie, it's like it's easy to give up, but it's harder to carry on and keep going. You know, you have to have that mindset that if you're an entrepreneur, it's not gonna happen today. Like for example, me and you know, we're working on our podcast and stuff. We're working. You're saying you're working like 24 hours a day sometimes to get this going, but you're not making anything then and there. But because you're not short-term thinking, you're realizing that cool, it's not gonna bang now, but later on, the work that I'm doing today and tomorrow and for like the next couple months, in a couple months time, then maybe I can start to make some money off it and it will start to pay off. But you have to realize it's not going to pay off then and there. So I think because there's definitely times where I could have given up, but I realized that it's not going to happen overnight. Like the first part is always going to be your hardest. That's always going to be the hardest part, is the first part, and you need to just learn to power through that. I mean, that's one piece of advice I would give to an entrepreneur, is just power through, chase the dream, don't give up, and think long term. But also properly plan. Take your time with the plan, because like I said, you gave me that money when I first wanted it, it wouldn't have been spent properly. Like I would have spent it on the business, but it wouldn't have been spent properly and smartly. So, you know, plan and yeah, have mentors, but don't actively seek them. You know, start off by asking for advice. And then if you feel like you can connect with that person, you know, when you next need advice, ask again. How they respond, you know, that will tell you enough. But, you know, let that relationship develop. Don't force it. And I think that's all I can really say. Those are my 3 points.
I appreciate that. I definitely think you've covered a lot today in terms of advice, experiences. Dude, I've learned, and I appreciate you coming on as well. One thing I like to do at the end of the podcast, and I'm constantly trying to make this better and make it a better experience. I watch I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall, and I noticed one of the things he says at the end, it's NFL. They have like NFL players on and whatnot. Like, I'm a fan of it.
Okay.
And that's kind of like where I like to get the podcast to in terms of creative direction, and the conversations they have. But he asks a question at the end of some of the podcasts. I'm not sure if it's everyone, but it's like, who do you want to see on here next? Like, on The Ordinary Experience, what type of person? Like, is there a type of individual you've got in mind, or someone that you know that you think has a story to tell, experiences to share, that you would say, yeah, get him on here, get her on here? Because you know me, I will actually reach out and be like, Dom,
no, yeah, 100%. I think yeah, the founder of Set Play. I think he's like, so my mentor. I think he obviously, like I said, like when he does something, he'll feed it to me. So he'll have more knowledge about it all. So I think he's definitely someone, because he's still kind of in his early stages. But I think with everything he's done so far, it's just like constant success. Like everything he seems to apply for, he seems to get. So I feel like to pick his brain on that would be quite interesting.
I will reach out. I'll reach out to him. Dom,
well, he's got another wait, just one more piece of advice as well. But no, because this one's important. If you're starting a business, look at how you can expand that business on a larger scale. So for example, with Cocoon, it started off with the app. Then I saw a content side, and then I saw a foundation side, like the charity side. And then now I've managed to find different ways that I can have the business make money. And there's now like 8 different branches to Cocoon that I have planned for. Because like I said, without the app, what is Cocoon? And that's now helped me realize how else I can make money off it. So I think that's also important, is plan for different ways to have your business get income, is another one as well.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, that's last. That's 4 points.
Look, you sharing anything in any of your experiences is amazing, and especially for the listeners, or 10 years time, when we sit back and we listen to this podcast over a dinner or something or whatever. But I think it's important having these conversations. I appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on, man.
I appreciate you having me, man. Cheers.
I'll speak to you soon. Bye.